Hello, we are going to read Henry and Mudge and Mrs. Hopper's house. Let's read together. A sweeter than Valentine's Day was coming. Henry and his big dog Mudge loved Valentine's Day because of the candy. They liked the little candy hearts that said "You swell." Oh, and oh dear, and things like that. Henry! Read the words and watch little. They were good team on this Valentine's Day. Henry's mother and Henry's mother going to sleep around. Henry and Mudge would be staying with Mrs. Hopper. Mrs. Hopper lived across the street in a big stone house with the droopy trees and dark windows and gold on the door. Mudge lay like the Mrs. Hopper, but he didn't want like house. Are you sure when Mudge can't come when the sweetheart dance? Mudge, Henry, asked his father. Only you both promise we'll wear a tuxedo and shiny black shoes and with the blue Danube, Henry's father said. Henry looked at Mudge and tried to imagine him in the tuxedo, shiny black shoes, wearing the blue Danube. The blue Danube. I think we better go to the Mrs. Hopper's house. Henry said. Good idea, said Henry's father, because the mother only knows to tap dance. Henry said with a grin. Mrs. Hopper, on Valentine's night, Henry's parents were going to dress up. Henry would look at them. Wow, he said. I bet you didn't know I was this handsome, said Henry. That I did, said Henry's mother, giving him a kiss. Oh, too much mushy stuff. Henry said to Mudge, let's go to the Mrs. Hopper's house quick. And that at Mrs. Hopper's house, Mudge licked the gold on the front door. Henry giggled. He didn't scare you, Mudge, said Henry. When Mrs. Hopper opened the door, she had a violin in her hand. She smiled at Henry. She petted Mudge. She said goodbye to Henry's parents. And Henry and Mudge went inside. Wow, said Henry. It was never been inside Mrs. Hopper's house before. It was like a castle. There was big chandeliers and tall paintings and a grand piano and lucky for Mudge, cats everywhere. How many cats do you have, Mrs. Hopper? Asked Henry. 11, said Mrs. Hopper, all girls. Mudge looked at the cats and wagged. Mudge loves cats, Henry told Mrs. Hopper. Mrs. Hopper petted Mudge again. Mudge loves everything, she said. Mudge smiled. Henry smiled. Mrs. Hopper's house wasn't bad. It was wonderful. Maybe she parents would dance all night long. Costume. Mrs. Hopper wasn't like any Henry had never met. She played the violin for him. She served him tea. She told about her father who had been a famous actor. She was very kind to Mudge. She cooked a bowl of oatmeal and gave him all of one of the French bread. After the tea and music and oatmeal, Mrs. Hopper took them upstairs. She opened the room that had been her father's. Wow, said Henry. His room was full of costumes. There was caves and tall hats and shiny coats. And there was cans and canes and sword and umbrellas, there was wigs. Mrs. Hopper put on wigs on Mudge. You look like a fool, Mudge, said Henry. Mudge wagged and wagged. Henry and Mudge and Mrs. Hopper stayed most of the evening in the costume room. They had a wonderful time. And when Henry's parents came back from the dance, where they were a surprise. Mudge was a poodle and Henry was a man. Henry wore a tuxedo and hat and shiny black shoes. I bet you didn't know I was this handsome, said Henry. Told his dad, and they laughed and laughed. So please subscribe, please. Yes!